Today I want to demonstrate just how easy it is to pull weeds out of our sheet mulched garden bed. You can see we have Beauregard sweet potatoes, and over the course of a couple years we've layered and layered cardboard, straw, compost wood chips, coarse wood chips, compost on top of each other year after year, never disturbing the soil. And this year we decided to plant these sweet potatoes in there. So what we're going to look at in a moment is just how easy it is to pull the weeds out of a sheet mulch garden, and I'm also going to organize these sweet potato plants a little bit, and then we'll talk more about this gardening method and why it is this superior gardening method, farming method for real sustainable agriculture in the future. Invasive grass, pasture grass. Okay, roots and all. See that. I wanted to talk a little bit about why this gardening method is ultimately going to be superior to any agricultural method on any scale in the near future. The reason being is you're never tilling the soil. Every single one of these small pieces of wood represents a potential energy, a storage of energy. Fortunately, with our modern day practices, what we've done is taking the fundamental element that makes up this little piece of wood, and we've released it into the atmosphere. It's as basic as that. And so ultimately, agriculture being our biggest influence on the world, and we need to be putting that carbon back into the soil. And the only way to do that is to allow organisms to break the carbon down and then make it into all sorts of different nutrients for plants and other organisms to consume and to thrive off of. This method that we're using here, commonly referred to as back to Eden garden method, it's also known as sheet mulching. And you fundamentally you just have a covering, and the covering protects the organisms in the soil. It allows moisture to be retained on a large magnitude, and when the surface of the soil isn't exposed to the surface extremes such as wind, rain, heat, then there's a reaction created, and the catalyst is the wood, and the organisms feed on the wood and the decomposing material. You could say that, the carbon, all the carbon elements, and even the nitrogen-based elements, and the organisms thrive, and they turn that material, this material, wood chips or grass, anything, into available nutrients for plants. Ultimately, with this method of farming or gardening, whatever scale you want to use, each year, as time goes on, you do less work in applying wood chips, and the wood chips break down, and there's a threshold where after a number of years, depending on the scale you're doing it, the carbon element is released into the soil along with all the other nutrients. The organisms are thriving because they're protected from surface extremes. They're decomposing the wood material. Mycelium is everywhere. And ultimately, with this garden method, you're constantly building soil. And you're not tilling it, destroying it, and then trying to add back to it supplements because you created a deficiency. Because of the natural method by which soil is made, just as it is in the forest, is done right in your own backyard under your watchful eye and your observation. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was insightful, and happy back to Eden gardening.